I think I'm depressed. Was depressed, am depressed, had feelings of depression. Regardless of what it is, I can acknowledge that there's some sadness and that there's something wrong. And so we're going to snap out of it. We're going to pull ourselves out of this depressive state, but also acknowledge why we're here and work on those things so that we don't get back to this place. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Jada Cook, and today we're gonna be talking about how I am pulling myself out of a depressive state. I want to go ahead and preface this by saying what I could be sad over might not be the exact same things that someone else could be sad over, and to you it might not seem valid. It could be very much so mid. What makes me feel down might not be the same thing that makes you down, but just keep that in mind as you're watching this video. So I was gonna take notes and then read off of my notes for this video, but I kind of want to be as organic as possible and just let my thoughts come out. So if this video seems like it's all over the place, truly my apologies, but just bear with me. Something that I have had to acknowledge is that growth is not linear. I can go for days, weeks, months and feel so good about myself and feel so good about life, and then something could happen and it's literally just everything stops and I'm kind of at a loss for words. I don't know necessarily how to go about whatever change it is that I'm experiencing. So in my last video, I was talking about how I outgrew my old life and started to create a new one, and about how I went through a lot of changes that have brought me to who I am today, and how it's made me so much happier. And truth be told, I am a lot happier than I was in months previous. But I have to acknowledge that just because I tackled one thing, that doesn't mean that there's not space for other things to come to possibly disrupt my happiness. A way that I can acknowledge the fact that I have grown a lot is because typically when I feel sadness or some kind of depressing mindset, I used to allow myself to sit in whatever that mindset was. I didn't want to see happiness. I didn't want to see better. I didn't want people telling me you need to do this, stick with this routine and do this and do that, and I promise you'll feel better. Because it's just because something worked for you, babe, doesn't mean that it's gonna work for me. But I can also admit that I wasn't necessarily trying to take steps to feeling better. It's yeah, people were telling me all the things that I could be doing, or how to have and what kind of outlook I should have on life, but all of it at the time, it just sounded like a bunch of bullshit to me, and I didn't care. I don't ever want to let myself get to a low place. It's no one's going to be okay 24/7, but it's truly up to me to decide when I want to start feeling better. I can either allow myself to be sad and in the dumps for months, for days, for weeks. It's take the time to acknowledge your feelings, take the time to acknowledge all the things that you're going through, but then snap out of it. The reason that I feel as though I got into this depressive state more recently is because I spent a little bit too much time reflecting on the past, and the fact that parts of my life no longer looked the same. It made me feel as though I was moving backwards or not doing the right thing. For example, I wanted to go back to school this semester. I had everything set up, I had everything planned, I was taking the right steps. I was doing everything that I needed to get back into school. But when the time came to pay for the upcoming semester and just a bunch of small details, everything took a 180. I found out that I couldn't take classes and that I was no longer enrolled in school because of the amount of time that I stopped taking classes. And it's I was so prepared to feel I was back on track as far as school goes, and I was so ready to just close that chapter of my life. I was more ready to do school than I had been in forever, and that feeling was very motivating for me, and it made me feel I was doing something with my life, or I was on track. And then when I found out that I couldn't take classes, I literally felt stuck, completely stuck. It was just, I felt like a failure. I felt nothing that I was doing was adequate enough, and those are just my feelings. And it's I knew that I wasn't a failure, I know that I'm not a failure. It's just at the time, I couldn't look past the idea that like all of these people are growing and all these people are, pursuing careers or getting into their careers, and I haven't even graduated. It's a marathon. It's not a race. And why, yes, it was in the plan for me to go back to school, this upcoming or this current semester. That's not what happened. But at the time, rather than like seeing it as okay, well, that's not what happened, so let's like figure out what you can do in this period of time to like occupy your time. I didn't do that. I laid in my bed literally for hours. I wouldn't get out of bed until like 1 o'clock. I wouldn't go to sleep until 3 a.m. And that happened for about it happened for weeks. And it's like on top of not, dealing with what I needed to do to pull myself out of that depressing state, other things started piling on top of like the already sad feelings that I was experiencing. And I can be truthful and like I still don't know what I'm doing. I still haven't found something to occupy my time, but I know that everything happens for a reason, and maybe I'm not in school right now because something greater is gonna happen. And even if something greater doesn't happen, I'm not in school and there's literally nothing that I can do about it. So I had to tell myself like, Jada, you can lay in bed all day and be sad about not being in school, or you can do something that still advances you. It's just not advancing you on the academic route. Like there are plenty of other things that I could do to occupy my time, to make me feel like I'm learning, to make me feel like I'm growing, but I just didn't want to do it. And so that was, something that was kind of putting me into like that negative space. And then also seeing, like people that I spent a lot of time with doing things without me and like living their life and moving on in their life without me being a part of it, it kind of sucked. And as much as I wanted to tell myself that like I was over it, I also had to acknowledge that like I spent a lot of time with people, and if I didn't feel sadness every now and then, if I didn't feel like triggered about something, then maybe my emotions towards whatever just wasn't really real. I could either sit and dwell that people are no longer a part of my life in a way in which they once were, or I can go out and I can make new friends. I can create new experiences, but I'm not gonna do any of those things if I'm not walking out of my house. I had to tell myself one day, it was super like late in the evening, but I realized that I hadn't left my house in days. And I'm not even exaggerating, like it was probably like 4 days and I never stepped foot out of my house. And it's like, if you wanna meet people, if you wanna create new experiences, if you wanna like add meaning to your life, you can't do that by sitting in your bed watching Game of Thrones all day. It's like if you want change, if you want better, you have to go out and get change. You have to go out and get better. It's not gonna find you. And these are all things that I know, but when you're sad and when you're going through something, sometimes you truly don't want to hear all the positives. You don't want to think about the positives because you're so stuck in that feeling of sadness that you don't want to even consider the possibility that happiness exists. And it's not like that's a conscious thought. It's just like, no, I'm so sad that I can't think about happiness. I can't think about like anything other than this sad feeling. And I didn't want that for myself. I don't want that for myself. But there was a time in life where like I could feel those things and I would do absolutely nothing about it. But now that I'm growing, now that I'm like actively working to heal myself and heal my triggers, heal my traumas, I can take steps to prevent me from getting to such a low place. If I were to get to a low place, like that's life and it happens, and I'm not saying that like everyone is perfect all the time, that no one feels sadness. If I never felt sadness, then I wouldn't know how to appreciate the happiness, But now I'm taking steps to not allow myself to sink to low places. There were so many emotions and just so many things that had like negative connotations to me. But instead of asking why is something happening to me, I had to start asking like, okay, why is this happening for me? And that sounds very stupid like to say, and maybe it won't make sense, but I feel as though within every event that happens in your life, there is a lesson or an opportunity for growth from that situation. You can either allow that to change your life for the better, or you can allow that to change your life for the worse. In 2021, I lost 3 of my closest family members. I lost my grandpa. I lost my aunt. I lost two of my aunts. So both of my grandma's sisters also passed away in 2021. And it was just like a constant like feeling of loss. I lost those like family members. I lost the closeness that I had with my friends. I lost myself at one point. I lost like a part of my independence because I moved back home. I lost the ability to continue my education at the current, like at the time that I wanted to. And so with all of those losses like happening, I truly just felt lost. Like I felt like there was nothing looking up for me, but it's also because I didn't allow myself to, see anything looking up for me. As far as losing family, that is life changing, and my life will forever be different for the fact that people that were around for the majority, like all the life that I've lived, are no longer going to be there for the remainder of my life, And rather than looking at it as like, oh my God, I'm so sad because these people aren't here, it's like, okay, well, what can I do to honor their memory? So for example, with my grandpa loved to bowl. I never got the opportunity to go bowling with him, but he would play like bowling on my Wii with me. But every Tuesday I go bowling, and to other people it's probably like, oh my God, like Jade is here all the time. And if I'm being honest, I'm not even that good at bowling. Like I'm not that great at it, but the fact that my grandpa was so connected to it, like I found beauty in that small little action, like that small activity, because it's like, well, someone that meant the world to me used to love this. Let me see what they liked about it. Like maybe I'll find maybe I'll find joy. And I have truly found like a love for bowling. It's not like I would ever compete in the activity or anything, but it's just like doing it and like having fun and being around people that are also having fun, even if they don't know like what it means to me. That's a way that like I can honor my grandpa. As far as, not being in school, whoop-de freaking do. In school, I would have been spending a lot of time learning about something new. And so it's like, well, I can't learn about, my major in school, but I can still teach myself things outside of school. I can still learn new crafts, new skills, like new knowledge outside of being educated for a grade. And I didn't see that. As far as like losing the closeness that I had with some of my friends, I can make new friends. I can make new experiences. I can create new memories. I don't have to live in those memories, And those are just things that I had to continue to tell myself. So a few things that I know I can do to just help myself feel better are, first, getting out of my bed. Like, as easy as it sounds, sometimes it really isn't that easy. Like my body literally just won't allow me to get up. I'll procrastinate. I'll spend a lot of time on TikTok. And to me, that's kind of self-sabotaging because I know that there are things that I should be doing, but I won't allow myself to. So I have to stop self-sabotaging. Like no matter how hard it is, rather than saying, okay, I'll get up in 15 minutes. I'll get up at 10:30. I'll get up in 30 minutes. Literally just get up. Like, it's a lot easier said than done, and I can acknowledge that because I can tell myself to just get up and I still won't. But it's like, Jada, no, literally, if you want to do something, then just get up. Like, just do it. By not working at the moment and also not being in school at the moment, sometimes my days just seem very repetitive. And I have a morning routine, and like obviously that's a repetitive part of my day. But by having something to look forward to, it's like, okay, well, I know that when I wake up in the morning, I have a routine to get to. So I wash my face, take my shower, brush my teeth, go through my whole skincare routine, and just take that time for myself. For me personally, when I look put together, I feel more put together. The only thing about that is that I don't want to continue to look put together, but on the inside, like I'm falling apart. But I will say, when I put on a cute outfit, when I do my makeup, when I do my hair, it makes me feel better. And that allows me to have a more positive outlook, because it's like, are you really gonna be sad when you look like this? Are you really gonna be crying your mascara off? Are you really, it's super superficial. I can acknowledge that. When I look good, I feel good. And it's not all the time, but I just try to put myself together so that I can feel more put together. When I'm sad, my room is oftentimes a reflection of my mental state. And so rather than allowing my room to get super, super crazy and super like dirty and messed up, once I see that it's starting to look like a lot of work to maintain my room, instantly I just have to clean my room. Once I can see that, like, I don't want to feel cluttered. My mind is already cluttered on the inside, and so the least that I can do is declutter my life on the outside. People say that I treat my life like a movie, and that's 100% true. When I am sad, I'm listening to sad music to also like amplify the sadness. When I'm happy, I'm listening to happy music to amplify the happiness. It's like if my life were a movie, what would the background sounds be? So when I'm cleaning my room, or when I'm doing my makeup, or when I'm cooking, when I'm doing like something small, I like to play music in the back that makes me feel happy, or like creates the vibe for whatever it is that I'm doing. I like to play music from my record player because it's like I'm creating my own scene, and it makes me feel good. Like, these are all things for me personally. It might not be the exact same for you, but it makes me feel good. So that's something that I continue to do. And once my room is clean and decluttered, I feel like I can breathe. Like, I feel like I have more space to just figure things out. It's like that's something that's checked off of my list. Another thing that I have to do, I have to journal. If I don't write out my feelings, I bottle them up. And I noticed that for myself, when I'm not communicating my feelings to myself, I start to I start to struggle with communicating to others because I'm not communicating with myself. There can be days where I say 10 words and I'm so caught up in my thoughts, but I'm also not allowing myself to process what it is that I'm thinking. So for me, when I'm journaling, I'm literally taking the time to think about my feelings rather than just assuming that I feel some kind of way. By writing it all out there, I can literally see on paper my thoughts in a physical form, if that makes sense. That helps my brain not feel as busy because I can have so much going on in my head, but if I'm taking the time to figure out what is going on in my head, and by releasing it, whether it be recording a video, whether it be journaling, whether it be something to where I'm actively speaking on my thoughts, it helps me feel better. It helps me feel more put together rather than just assuming a feeling. I can actually know what the feeling is, and it allows me to see, what I need to work on. If there's something that I'm sad about, I'll ask myself like, okay, well, what can you do in this present moment to fix that feeling? And if you can't do something in this present moment, then why are you dwelling on something that you can't change right now? In order to pull myself out of that depressing ass mindset, I have to do things that I know bring me happiness. So whether that be for me, going to a plant store, or going to my favorite makeup store, or sitting outside and just like enjoying nature. I have to do things that I know will bring me peace, or have brought me some kind of peace before. Not to say that those actions, not to say that those things can't change, because they definitely can, as we change every day. But I know that when I sit outside and I feel air and I hear like the sounds of nature, I know that that makes me feel calm. And I want to calm the thoughts that are in my head. I want to calm the crazy that's going on in my head. So that's something that I'll do. I like going to plant stores because it allows me to see life in a different aspect than the life that I'm living. Like, plants, you have to take care of them. You have to nurture them. And if you don't, they die. And that's kind of symbolic to how I feel about myself. It's like, Jada, you have to take care of yourself. You have to nurture yourself. You have to remember to feed yourself, water yourself, give yourself, nutrients, get some light in, because if not, you will literally shrivel away. And that's going to be that. And I don't want to shrivel away. Like, I feel like I have a life to live and I have a lot that I want to accomplish. So by having plants and by having something that I have to take care of, it's just a reminder to me to take care of myself. But yeah, I hope that this video is not all over the place, and I hope that like some things that I was saying were making a little bit of sense. Like I said in the beginning, I didn't create a script for this. I didn't want to write down, what I wanted to talk about. I kind of just wanted my thoughts to flow out and be as organic as possible, as I'm trying to be as organic as I can on this channel, and also just on any other platform, any other realm of life. I want to be true to myself. I'm gonna leave this video by saying, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel whatever it is that you're feeling for however long you need to take, but don't allow yourself to sit in that feeling of sadness. Most times it really is just an internalized fight with yourself. And once you can quiet that other voice, once you can, quiet the voice that's telling you that you can't, that you shouldn't, that you won't, you start to find, ways to actually do the things that you're telling yourself that you can't. I have to tell myself, babe, you've been happy before. That thing that you thought that you weren't gonna get over, you got over before. So I'm gonna continue to make more videos like this. It's just kind of hard for me at times to open up about my feelings, and I also don't like talking about or posting about things that I'm not actually doing. Like, I don't want to come on here and be like, okay guys, I was depressed, but I'm so happy now, when really when I turn the camera off, I'm facing some kind of sadness. So I'll never come on here and talk about something unless I feel as though I'm living in that truth and I can actually talk about the things that I'm posting about. So if you liked this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out. Girl Scout.
Sometimes I'm just not feeling it all, and it gets hard to say it when it's hard. Will you understand me? Been dealing with some things you can't see. No, no.